Hey, this is Georgie. Welcome to Georgie's Room of Rock. How's everyone doing out there today? Kind of doing an impromptu video because we're expecting snow today, and I figured I got nothing much to do except wait for the snow to come tomorrow and shovel all that shit. Might get a foot to 2 feet of snow. Not looking forward to that. So I'm like, I just got stuff to do, and I think, I'll make a video. Who cares? And, just to pass the time a little bit. And I like doing it, so I just thought of this as like a real quick one I just thought of today, so bear with me. All right. So anyway, the video is basically blind buys. I'm going to show you album covers from 10 different bands with 2 albums. Would you have bought these albums by looking at them, thinking they were thrash, or not sure what they were? Because some of the album covers can be like deceiving. So I pick a thrash album. Sometimes you know what a thrash album is, sometimes you don't know. And if you're new to the band, you never saw the band before, I'm going to show you 2 different examples of if you think they would have been thrash. Would you have blind bought the album just by looking at it? And the first ones, of course, you would. But would you think they're thrash? From my hair to get my face here. All right, first one I'm going to go to is Kreator, Endless Pain. If you looked at the album cover, you'd probably guess it's a thrash album just by looking at it. It's definitely got the look, that artwork definitely looks like you never heard of the band before, and you saw this on the rack saying, oh yeah, it looks like a thrash album. Let me pick that up. But would you feel the same way if the first Kreator album you saw was Endorama? Would you look at it and think, oh, it's a thrash album? You never heard the band before, didn't know anything about them. Would you think the thrash album, or it looks like a progressive rock album, really progressive metal album, really? Doesn't anything like, would you have bought this album just by looking at it if you never knew the band? Would you blind buy it or not? That's the question. That's why I'm doing this little dumb video. See, this one you would know. It's, it looks thrashy, it looks heavy. This one you're like, I don't know. Is that thrash album? That's not thrash album. It looks like a progressive metal album. So would you blind buy it Endorama without knowing anything about it? This is if you didn't have the internet and couldn't listen to songs beforehand. If you just saw it in the store and bought it on a whim, would you buy it? That's just this video is basically all about. Next band is a classic. We're going to go with Forbidden Evil. You look at this one, I think, hey, it's metal. It's got to be metal. It's got to be thrashy, maybe. And it certainly does look at from the album cover, if you never heard of the band before. But what if you saw this one? Would you think it was a thrash album? Distortion? This is their 3rd or 4th one. I wouldn't know what to think it was if I saw it in the racks and I didn't know anything about the band. I would probably pass over it. Would you just blind buy by look at it if you didn't know anything about the band? Or would you buy it? There you go. It's a question. Thrashy looking, maybe? Well, it is. And this one, not so much. Would you blind buy it? Stupid little question I think of when I've got nothing else to do. Next one, another famous album. You might not think it's thrash, but if you never heard of the band before or knew anything about them, maybe you thought it was a death metal album, or black metal. Slayer's Rain and Blood. We all know it's a thrash album, but if you never heard of Slayer before and saw this album, what would you think? You probably think it was maybe a satanic black metal, even death metal. I mean, you wouldn't know because by looking at it, it's hard to tell. Would you blind buy it? Probably, because it's got that evil look if you're into that kind of stuff. But if you never heard of Slayer and saw this in the stores, what would you probably think is a black metal album? Maybe you buy, maybe you pass on it. Would you blind buy this one? Just by the looks. If you never heard of Slayer, never know anything about them, first time to see it, would you buy this or pass it up? Pass it by. 2 different albums. There you go. Next one. Testament's debut. Now, if you look at the cover, I mean, you might probably blind buy because it looks like a metal album. It's like a thrash album. If you never know the name of the band, if you've never heard of them, maybe not. Depends on what your taste in music. It might looks like a metal album, like a regular metal. It could be just heavy metal, speed metal, but thrash metal, whatever. But not sure. But if you saw this in the store, what would you think? Again, another one. If you never heard of the band, saw the band this album low by them, you wouldn't know what it was. He was like, I don't know what that is. I might pass by it myself. If I didn't know the band, I'd probably just say, well, I don't know what that is. I don't like the cover. It doesn't look very metal. It looks a little odd. But would you blind buy it or not? So there you go. Testament. Would you, thrash? And would you buy it? Would you pass it by? Next one. This one you might think of as more of a crossover. Saw it in the store, and it's the EP. I'm going to pick this one. Sacred Reich, Surf Nicaragua, if I can say it right. And it's a thrash album because we all know it. It looks like a thrash album the way it looks, and I would not second guess saying it was a thrash album. But if you saw this one, Heel, from what year it was, 96, would you think of the thrash album? You'd be like, I don't know. You might pass it by, like, that's a weird album cover. Would you buy it or not? Sorry, it's kind of in the glare because of the black, but you know the album, though. I'll take it out real quick, though. So, anyway, would you buy it thinking it's a thrash album, or would you not even know what it was? Because it doesn't have the logo on it. I'd probably pass it by myself. And again, if you have the same band, different covers, what would you think? I might pass it by. All right. Now we got some better examples here of ones you would probably pass by if you never saw them, but I'll show you the one that you wouldn't. I picked a live one from this one with Exodus. Good friendly violent fun. You know it's going to be some kind of heavy thrash album or something by looking at the cover. Definitely the cartoony, but it's got that 80s kind of, thrash feel to it, with the cartoon guy on it. But if you never heard of Exodus and didn't know and saw this in the store, you probably would definitely pass it by saying, what the hell is that? Not even the logo's on it. It's totally different. Totally different. I mean, I quite like the album, because it's the first one I bought, probably that's probably why. But I guess people didn't like it and it would even pass it by, like, that's not Exodus, that's a different band called Exodus. You wouldn't even know. Nothing said that on the back. You wouldn't even know it's the same band. So this one's like thrashy, this one is not. So there you go. Another one example there. And then the next one is this one. Like I said, this one could just be you can just look at it and say it's a metal album, thrash or not. Flotsam and Jetsam debut. Doomsday for the Deceiver by the cover, Flotzilla. So yeah, it's definitely it's a metal album because what else would it be? So you could probably just mistake that for maybe thrash or just a heavy metal album. But if you saw this one, Drift in the stores, it's got the name there. Would you pass it by or go, what the hell is that? Because it looks like a progressive rock album. It doesn't look like a progressive metal. It looks like a progressive rock album, in my opinion. More akin to like Dream Theater, actually, than anything. So would you pass it by or buy it if you never heard the band before? That's the first thing you saw. I said, two different ones. Would you pass it by or not? All right. This band, super famous, of course. These are all famous. Megadeth, Peace Out. You can tell, it's a thrash album, and you can tell just by the cover. It's got that feel to it when you look at the cover of Vic Rattlehead and stuff like that. So if you never heard the band and saw this album, you'd know it's a thrash album. But if you never heard of Megadeth and saw this cover, you'd be like, what the hell's that? That's a weird cover. It doesn't look like a thrash metal album at all. You wouldn't even know what the hell it was if you looked at it and weren't sure. So, would you blind buy it? Would you buy it or not? Maybe if you saw the back, you might say, okay, it's probably a metal album or something like that. If you saw the front cover, looked at it, think that's a weird cover. You wouldn't know what it was. That's my next example. Next one. This one features a late singer who they only have the 2 albums by them. But this is the metal album from Sanctuary. It's a thrash album, Refuge Denied. And it's a great one, too. But the Ed Repka cover, it's got that thrash feel. Maybe it was a death metal feel with the way it looks. He did a lot of he did the first Death album, or a couple of the first 3 Death albums, covers for Ed Repka did. But you can tell it's some kind of heavy metal album. But if you saw this one, the second one, again, you might look at it and say, this looks like a progressive metal, a progressive rock album. It's hard to tell, except for the logo being with the knife through it, though. But you would not think it's a metal album by looking at it. Would you pass it by if you're flipping through the racks, or would you keep it? Or would you, get it or not get it? Last example. This is not a thrash band, but again, they have thrash leanings or certain stuff, but I put them in there because I think it works. Metal Church debut. Now, this could be anything. It could be thrash, it's hard, heavy metal, just power metal, whatever you want to call it, what Metal Church is. But it's metal by looking at it. Of course, the name's Metal Church. That gives it away. But not with staying the name of the band. If you saw this, which everyone probably did at the time, going, what the hell is that? If you didn't know the band, you're like, I'm not getting that. It looks too goofy. What the hell is that? Would you pass it by if you've never heard of the band and this is the first album you saw? Would you just go, nope, buy it, or say, nope, I'm not getting it? So that's my little silly video on whether you'd pass blind buy these albums or not by the look at them, or just pass them by. Curious in the comments what you think of the video, what you would do in these situations. If you had situations with other bands, other albums, you looked at it and said, I don't know if I should get that one. Then you realize they're a metal band and they have other albums that are more metal than this one. Than what you looked at. Tell me in the comments. And this is kind of a confusing video maybe. But that's my little video. I'm kind of just trying different stuff here. Anyway, I'm babbling on. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you like it. If you don't, it's fine. If you like what you see here, please like and subscribe and comment. I love hearing from you guys. So if you guys live in the Northeast and you get snow's coming, be careful out there. It's going to be heavy and wet and crappy. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Keep rocking metal alive. Take it easy.